Same point, counting not their way. Success logic with a twist of chest. Turn it down the truth, you would get the rest. You would pulls the lights right out of the park. Look beyond the shadows.
I just realized hello. Oh, whoops. Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Pun Show. And I had a whole thing planned out. I had videos prepared. And then Trump went and trumped. So this is what you get for trying to plan a show in the age of Trump. You just failure. It's hard to keep up with all of his failure. So I'm just gonna check on something real quick. And maybe I'll still, because I think it's still worth talking about. The whole plan that he had agreed to, which was actually really, really bad, but even he couldn't keep his own agreement because Donald Trump is always gonna Donald Trump. So literally like moments ago, and I got this from the friend of the show, Resistance Kitty. She let me know this right before we started. And I'll just read this to you. Actually, let me see if I can get a better. All right, there. It's a little better layout. Okay, whoops. Okay. All right, here. This is what I want to do. Statement. So this is what Iran just released. Statement on the violation of 3 key clauses of the 10-point proposal agreed framework before start of the negotiations. The deep historical trust we hold toward the United States stems from the repeated violations of all forms of committees, pattern that has regularly been repeated once again. Has regrettably been repeated once again. As President of the United States has clearly stated, the Islamic Republic of Iran's 10-point proposal is a workable basis on which to negotiate and the main framework for those talks. However, 3 clauses of the proposal have already been violated. Non-compliance with the first clause. So he was doing great until he got to the very first part. Regarding the ceasefire in Lebanon, a commitment that Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif explicitly referred to and declared as an immediate ceasefire everywhere, including Lebanon and other regions, effective immediately. So, Israel apparently, this is why you don't have a 2-party agreement when there's more than 2 parties involved. Israel never agreed to it, and I guess now we know their answer. The entry of violation number 2, violation of Iran's airspace. This is number 2. The entry of an intruding drone into Iranian airspace, which was destroyed in the city of Lar in Fars province, constitutes a clear violation of the clause prohibiting any further breach of Iran's airspace. And 3, denial of Iran's right to enrichment. The right is explicitly included in the 6th clause of the framework. The very workable basis in which to negotiate has therefore been openly and clearly violated even before negotiations have begun. Under such circumstances, a bilateral ceasefire or in negotiations is unreasonable. So there you go. We did not get off to the best start. It ended less than a day. And I'm sure that in Donald Trump's book, he did nothing wrong. So Kitty says, good afternoon, kitties. Okay, and you should make sure you show off both agreements, what Trump posted and what Trump posted. Bibi refused to stop bombing Lebanon. All right, so let's, like, this is why a lot of people were okay. Let me, do we have a image file somewhere? In case you missed it, Gary, I was just going through this. The so far so good, not so fast. The agreement is already over. But so seeing if I can find an image. Kitty, if you can send me a link to, oh, here. So here's what Iran proposed, which anybody that's like even remotely thoughtful would look at this and think, gee, there's probably something not so good about this. So hang on. We're gonna look through the actual peace plan that Iran offered. This is what Iran wanted. Oh shoot! Hang on, let's try this. All right, so does that work? There, that works. Okay, so Iran's 10-point peace plan, ensuring Iran is not subject to another attack, permanently ending the war, not just a ceasefire, ending Israeli strikes in Lebanon. That was one that, you know, one of the ones that were already violated, lifting all U.S. sanctions imposed on Iran, ending all regional skirmishes against Iran's allies, reopening the Strait of Hormuz, imposing a fee of $2 million on every ship passing through the Straits of Hormuz, sharing these fees with Oman. I didn't know about that. Establishing rules for safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz, using Hormuz passage fees for reconstruction instead of compensation. So this was the agreement. Basically, what that means is this was another example of the fart of a deal. This was a terrible deal. It was just awful on every count. There is no way that, you know, and so I was thinking about this from three different perspectives. One, the perspective of what if we just had never canceled the original Iran treaty that Obama reached? Where would we be better or worse with that in place, still in place, and never having fought the war? And The answer is obviously yes. We would be able to. Iran would not be, a so-called week away. The only reason that they got closer is because we didn't have the monitoring that they had agreed to in the agreement that Trump canceled. So what if they, then we negotiated and we found an agreement, and then we went and attacked Iran anyway. Iran was ready to concede everything and actually even give us a possibly better deal than we had with Iran. Oh, whoops. Okay. So there was a better agreement. Possibly, you could argue that the agreement that they reached right before the start of the war would have been better than the agreement with Obama. But Trump didn't care about that. He just wanted to distract from the Epstein files, so he bombed them anyway. So then the other thing is, are we better off before the war? We lost 13 American service members lost their lives. We spent billions and billions of dollars. We lost multiple aircraft. We, which is another billions and billions of dollars. We lost credibility with all of our allies. We, as a nation, paid billions of dollars more on gas prices and who knows what else. And what did we get out of it? I went to 3 different AIs and asked them all the same question. And all of them couldn't come up with anything. I went to Grok, I went to Chat, and I went to the Google, the Genesis. None of them could come up with a way where we are better off now as we are situated with Iran than we were before the war started. Now, Iran obviously lost a bunch of, they took some hits, but now we're basically saying that they control the Straits of Hormuz. We ended their sanctions, we're ending their sanctions. They the leader is a better leader or a worse leader, a more what's the word? Hardcore terrorist type. So there's no way we're situated better. We have not gotten any improvement off of this war, and all those people lost their lives. 2,500 to 3,000 Iranians have died. Who did the whole thing in Lebanon? Yeah, it's not a good situation. And now apparently it isn't even over anyway. Bibi refused to stop bombing Lebanon. Bibi is such an asshole. Bibi and Trump, man, I just wish they would rot in the same prison together. Bleep got so escalated they're beefing in Twitter. Who's beefing in Twitter? Bibi and or I'm so far so good. Yeah. Well, I'm not going to be happy about that. Yeah, you should have known. I mean, like with Trump, don't expect anything to last more than a day. I mean, I'm actually surprised it took us this long. That man changes his mind more than he changes his diaper. And he changes his diaper a lot. Hey, Brett, how you doing this morning or afternoon? But Fox, one orange man's toddler's media. One orange man toddler's media. Lying to the public as usual about what broke the agreement. I don't know how they get away with this every single day. It's insane. It's like watching Fox News. If all you watched was Fox News, I could understand why you would be a Trump supporter. Because what they spin is just not even reality adjacent anymore. It is just an invention. They just invent the news. They invent their narrative every single day. They just invent. It's not even spin. It's not like left leaning or right leaning news or something like that. And it's not just choosing the news that they just make stuff up. It is like it is fake news. US wrote the agreement that Pakistan cut and pasted to Iran. It even had the draft or passed, I think that's what passed to Iran. It even had the draft header from US, but Trump agreed to all 10. Trump agreed to lift the sanctions. Actually, he offered to lift the sanctions if what Brett is saying is right. If US wrote the agreement and then Iran accepted it, that means Trump proposed lifting the sanctions and proposed the $2 million fee per boat. He's such a joke. It was just to save face for Trump. So basically, we were back to the strait, but we have to pay to go through the strait. Just $2 million. I got a video ready on this. I need to set it up. But I got a video on that. The $2 million, what does that mean in terms of long-term economics? Let me go ahead and set that up, and then we can, well, maybe we'll wait. I don't think Iran wants to do us any favors. I wouldn't want us. I don't think Iran would want to do us any favors. We just like killed a bunch of Iranians and their leader and wiped out a third of their military. And like we did a lot of really, really nasty things to Iran. Of course, they don't want to do us any favors. Apparently, we want to do them favors. I can't believe that Donald Trump was ready to lift the negotiation. I was like, when I saw it, like I thought that was Iran's idea. So you really believe that all of this is because of the Epstein files? I really believe that's a possibility. I genuinely do. Remember, the day before he attacked Iran, the thing that was in the news was this cover-up of this girl, 13-year-old girl that made accusations. The FBI had visited this 4 times, had gone and interviewed her 4 times. She was a woman, but, you know, when they interviewed her, but 13 when this happened to her. And so you don't go and just keep re-interviewing people when their story isn't credible. So why did they do that? What did they find credible? We never found out. The media like saw the you know, like the war distracted from that. And yeah, I really believe he is enough of a sociopath that he would start a war to avoid being called out on that. Yeah, that's why when you are at war, you lose things and people, unfortunately. That's why you need to think about things before you go to war. I mean, that's not an excuse for what happened. That's a reason it shouldn't have happened. Like, why did we go to this war, Gary? What was the point? He never outlined it. He never actually said, this is why we're going to war. But you're right. These things happen when you go to war. That's why you need to explain them before you go to war. I'm a veteran. We nearly went to war with Italy or with Libya while I was in basic training. And they, you know, we hadn't even gone to war. We never went to war, but we nearly went to war. There was real, you know, rumors and stuff that we might, and our TI called us together. And he addressed us we were like in the parade grounds, and he addressed us and said, you know, we might be going to war. This is why, this is what our goal is. If we do. So You know, when you're in the military that you might have to go to war. Some people enlist during war, knowing that they're at war. But that's why it's so important to know why you're at war, why you're going to war. Because every single life that is given in service to their country deserves to be honored as such. When Donald Trump declares war and those 13 people died, what did they die for? Why did they die? Why did they have to die? What did they give their lives up for? We still don't even know. Every aspect of our situation with Iran is worse now than it was before we went to war. And what we haven't done is we haven't talked about the Epstein files. We had to return all frozen assets. That's including the rest of the money that Obama didn't give, that they keep belly aching about. Oh, Obama gave them $1.4 billion or whatever. Hey, Friend Zone, dude, how you doing? Missed you the last couple of days. Yeah, Putin's better off. You know who's better off under Trump? Russia, China, Iran now. You know who's not better off? America. I take it yet you don't believe that they were possibly trying to build a bomb? It's not about whether I believe they were trying to build a bomb or not, Gary. It was whether or not they were actually building a bomb or not, and whether or not they could build a bomb. And they were just they simply did not have the capacity to build a weapon before Congress got called back. They weren't days away. They were at best, and even unrealistically, months away from building a dirty bomb. That means you can have, like if that's your thing, that you think that we should go to war with Iran because they're trying to build a bomb. There's time to get together, have Congress have that debate, have the American people have that debate, and then declare war on Iran for building a bomb. I do know that what Iran agreed to with Trump, with his administration that was negotiating, they agreed to downblend all of the 60% uranium that they were complaining about, that the Trump administration was complaining about. So I feel like your question is not the right question. Do you think that trying to build a bomb warranted an unconstitutional start to a war? I'm not trying to blast you, Gary. I'm trying to answer your question honestly and objectively. The leader that was killed. Yes, that's another thing. The leader that was killed was more moderate than the one that is now in place. And he's actually gotten more popularity. Like some people are, the majority of Iranian people are still not fond of this regime. But the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And so there's a lot of people, he's actually more popular. The existing regime gained popularity just by fighting off the evil empire. Single most blundered mission ever. Iran is showing left behind charred bodies. Those C-130s were not destroyed on purpose. They were definitely downed. Oh, I didn't know about this. So is this more people that were killed more servicemen that were killed that we don't know about? Hegseth brags, no man left behind. Hegseth is the biggest. If it weren't for Donald Trump, Hegseth would be the biggest asshole in the world. Maybe Bibi. But these are genuinely evil people that are running our country. Like the OG Weekly World News. the proposal we gave them, one of the key points was that they had to say Trump won. Oh, so that's what. Okay, so in case you missed it, there is Trump had this whole thing about I don't know if you know where it is, Kitty, but if you wanted to find it and send it to me, that would be cool. But Trump had this whole tirade about CNN posting fake news about the Iran declaring victory, which, you know, I mean, like, it is not fake news. It was like on Iranian news and stuff, and he like accused it of being like some Nigerian fake news or something like that. And he was talking about like prosecuting, like literally investigating and prosecuting them for what, I don't know, to see if they committed any crimes. This is like, he is becoming what he alleges he hates. That is like when we say no more, you know, like no kings, he's talking about prosecuting negative media. That's what Putin does. That's what Orban does. He's a fascist. Like, stop denying it. Iran flat out said this morning that the U.S. and Israel are not now and never will be allowed to use the Strait. Wow, I did not know that. We have a bunch of Epstein hearings coming up. When is Donald Trump going to be questioned? It's funny that they're talking about what's his name? Comer is trying to figure out how to help Bondi wiggle out of her subpoena. This is the guy that was like going to prosecute the Clintons if they didn't show up. And the exact same thing. He's sitting there trying to figure out how to get Bondi out of it. What do we get? What do we learn from the Clinton subpoena? Nothing. Nothing. Do we get any closer to prosecuting anybody? No. How many Americans have been prosecuted? How many people has the Trump administration prosecuted for the Epstein files? For the whole thing? Like, the one person that was prosecuted, I think, started being prosecuted under Trump and convicted under Biden, but I'm not positive on that. And then got this comfort housing from Todd Blanche. Now she's like molesting puppies instead of children. The Iranians are insisting and being paid in Chinese yuan or crypto, no US dollars. So much for the petrodollar, right? It's funny because when it first started, all these people were like sitting there going, petrodollar, petrodollar, woo, 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 woo. And so like the petrodollar is the entire financial world. And they're like sitting there, oh, he saved the petrodollar. Well, how's that looking at now? You little trollbots. Fox needs to be banned for lying to public and serving one man. So pissed. I think about it all the time. How do you resolve something like that without just destroying free press, without becoming what Trump is? But right now you've just got this venue where it has license to just lie to, 40% of the American people. And you just lie all the time. Everything is just lies, just lies. And they never actually just say what is true. Trump didn't follow protocol entering into hostilities with Iran. That's right. Like, people keep wanting to talk about the War Powers Resolution. The War Powers Resolution very clearly states that it is not like just a retroactive thing. Like, As long as you get Congress's approval within 60 days, then you're fine. That's not what it says. It says if it's possible, you have to go to Congress first. That's what the War Powers resolution says. And he did not go to Congress first. This little, oh, I notified the Gang of Eight stuff, that's not what the War Powers resolution says. The whole point is that Congress is supposed to debate before we go to war. And these pussyfooting around it, oh, it's not a war because Trump didn't, because Congress never declared war. Congress never had a chance to. That's the point. Goodness, MAGAs are dumb. Some say 13 is not the actual number. Yeah, I've heard that. I try to limit myself to what has been confirmed, but I not only would not be surprised if it were much higher, I would be surprised if it were actually, not much higher. Because everything this administration does is lie. The only reason that those 13 were revealed is they were identified outside. None of them came from the Trump administration. Like none of them said, oh, well, these 13 died. They were outside media. They didn't have any chance to bottle it up. They also are showing poor by sharing the docs. Oh, they recovered some documents. Iran did, Kitty? Someone please remind me of the reason Bill Clinton was impeached again. Bill Clinton was impeached for lying about getting a blowjob. And they were very earnest about this is like beneath the president or whatever. And I think there are people that voted to impeach Clinton and voted not to impeach Trump twice, even though both times Trump impeached, it was far, far, far worse. What is Restream Bot 422025? Is that me? Oh, I know what that is. Okay, so when I've my new Restream setup. If people from Twitter were to post a comment or Facebook post a comment, then it'll get the bot reposts it on the other channels. So that's just like a separate channel posting. Okay. Lost my place. Maxwell lives better than 65% of Americans. Yes, she does. It is now the Petroyan. Oh, is it pronounced Yuan? Yen? How do you pronounce that? I don't even know. Is it like Yan? I want to say Yan. I wouldn't be surprised if Trump proposes an idiot plan like Erie Canal type project through UAE. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I can see that. And he'll think it's a genius. He's being a genius. It's an interesting thing. I won't go into it now, but if you ever look at the history of the Panama Canal, it's really fascinating. We could have had a much better canal, but what's his name? JP Morgan. JP Morgan is the reason we have the Panama Canal instead of a different canal that would have been better. It's also the reason we have the nation of Panama. I have receipts that it is higher. Kitty always has receipts. Kitty, did I get banned on here? Nobody's banned you, Gary. Don't worry. We wouldn't ban you. Kitty and I were just talking before the show that we like you, Gary. from a nurse that works in a German hospital. The receipts she's talking about. My grandpa said grown men who collect Pokemon cards usually like to put a finger in their bum. Well, that's interesting. Not as dumb as you, loser. Okay. So how many decks do you have? Ooh, there you go. Tech decks. Those are old people toys. I've never had a Pokemon card. I know that my brother used to play Pokemon Go with his son. His son really loved it. They would go and they'd walk around together, and it gave him a lot of good quality time with his boy. Your second stupid post, the pun show. Has a lot of leeway on here because he has intelligent chats and not just become ugly. Yes. Gary engages, and he's sincere. I just wish you were more thoughtful sometimes, Gary. He asks once a week if he's been banned. If you have to, like if you ask if you've been banned, then obviously you haven't been, because you can be there to ask if you've been banned. If you were banned, you wouldn't be there to ask. It would be great if we could find out the real story on whether they were trying to build a bomb or not. All right, I want you to understand something. There's a difference between trying to build a bomb and actually having built a bomb or being able to build a bomb. I can go out and, I can try to dunk, but I'm 5'7" with a 26-inch vertical, if that. That was at my peak. I was lucky if I could touch the bottom knots of the net. I could try to dunk all I want, but that doesn't mean I could dunk. It wasn't a matter of trying. Whether Iran was trying to build nukes or not is irrelevant. They weren't a week away from nukes. They just weren't. It was physically impossible for them to have gotten nukes within a week or even months. So it's not, you can talk about effort. Were they trying? Yes. But they weren't getting them. That's the point. They weren't getting them any more than I was dunking a basketball. I have dreams about dunking a basketball, but I've never actually dunked a basketball. Gary avoids speaking to me like the plague. Some grudge, I guess. Gary, meet Brett. Say hi to Brett. Brett's a nice guy. He rides his bike. Generally, I am super open. I just do not tolerate people being ugly. Except me. Literally, the intelligence from every single other country has said they were not, including the IAEA. I mean, Kelly's 5'7". That explains everything. You see, that's the thing. I could have said I was 6'4", and I'd have been 6'4". Everybody's the same height when you're just like on a video like this. No, I'm 5'7", though. It's the only way that me and Matt Gates see eye to eye, is if we're standing. I wanted to be 5'10". I hope to get to 5'10". Never got there. 5'10" is like tall enough to not be short. Trump threatens to use the weapons on Iran we attacked them over. Yes. Donald Trump's the one that was actually threatening to use nuclear weapons, or sort of doing it. By the way, I looked it up after the show yesterday, Gary, and to anybody else who is interested. It is actually a violation of the Geneva Conventions to threaten to attack civilians. Not like to actually make the threats is a war crime. So Donald Trump's post was a war crime. Sometimes I really do too. Hey, Harry, how you doing? I still want to get Harry and Gary on the show at the same time, and we can just call it the Harry and Gary show. I do not hate the world. I just hate these evil men who are harming the world and protecting the people that harm the world. Okay, if you would like to know the truth on the matter, and it's important, can I suggest you actually read about it? Like, there's this information is available. Like, all you have to do is just go on any AI and ask them what is the truth about Iran trying to get nuclear weapons, and then most of them will say that there's a whole thing about. I'll tell you this much, that they were a week away. There are some right-wing think tanks and anti-Iran think tanks that the Trump administration would quote that they were less than a week away from developing nukes. They had 60% enriched uranium. They needed to get 90% enriched uranium. And if they used all of their combined resources and ran it at max for an entire week, and you just deduce how much you could do per hour and how many hours it would take, then they could theoretically have enriched enough uranium to 90% in 1 week to develop a bomb. There's some problems, though. All right. This all happened before we initially bombed them in, what was it, like September or whatever it was. The one big problem with it is there's this thing called friction. Okay. And when you operate it that quickly, when you've got it going that fast, all the equipment starts to heat up. And if you keep doing it for a whole week, it's going to melt down. You're going to have you can't just keep everything going on at max for a full week. It's like anything, like a lot of other things that develop friction. You have to let it cool down or it's going to overheat. You definitely don't want to do that when you're enriching uranium. So you couldn't, like, using the math, you can make it out that they would do it like in a week. But that's not realistic math. That's not real world math. It would take more like a month if they were actually trying to do it. They weren't trying to enrich 60% to 90%, though. There's no evidence of that happening at all. And this, again, was before we bombed them. So we also, when we bombed them, we impacted their ability to enrich uranium, which made it even longer. Even then, once you get the uranium, you still have to develop the delivery system. And they didn't have any ICBMs, in spite of what some people have said. The furthest they could go is like 2,000 miles, like, or not 2,000 kilometers, which would be like New York to Miami, or yeah, like New York to Miami. So it's a good distance, but it's not transcontinental or intercontinental. I think he's still butthurt that I timed him out for 300. You gave him a timeout. I think I remember vaguely. I think there was a reason. I think, yeah, anyway, I think short men are hot. Short men are hot, personally. Hey, this is, my wife is short. And when the first time we hugged, we had just started dating, and We had our first hug, and she put her chin on my shoulder, and she told me I was just the right height for her because she could comfortably put her chin on my shoulder. I thought that was cute. So we were made for each other. Makes me feel like the supermodel next to the rock star. Ha! Makes you feel taller if the... my wife is 5'3". I don't see any of Gary's comments. Oh, that's weird. Has he made... Oh, here. So that's a Gary comment. I don't know. I don't know why you don't. So, did you? If you have him muted. Oh, only top comments highlighted. Hey there, Bombable. I don't know. Gern Bombable. How you doing? I think I'm just gonna call you Bombable. Kind of like Iran. I have set it to all. Strange. Okay. So Kitty posts a link here that has for there you go, Gary. Kitty even posted a link for you. Maybe you blocked him. You may have a babe. You. Hello, you are not smarter than me. Okay. I did not block people. I don't block people on purpose. I have read about it, but I never know what to believe on here. Just, you know, I tend to like be pretty careful about what I say. Have you ever heard me say anything wrong? Did he say that he was? And I mean, like, when I have gotten a couple of things wrong here and there, but I'll always find out and I'll always admit it. Did he say that he was? Oh. Uh-oh. We've got a Dick and we've got a Harry. I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it. He's using big words and being toxic, so yes. I'm using big words and being toxic? Okay. I didn't realize that using polysyllabic words was toxic. YouTube may be modeling too hard with the live chat filter. It's very strict, too strict. It's called science, and some people don't understand what science is. They are blah, 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 blah. Right. It filters me talking about mowing my lawn sometimes. Is that like a euphemism that I don't know about? I failed math, buddy, so what? Bleep that uranium. Is he used words again, this guy? Yeah, words. I know the biggest words. Bored people have entered the chat thinking they are witty cute. Yeah, you know. Maybe they'll get interested. I think one person came in here out of boredom and ended up becoming a regular. Rawr, you are so cute. I am 5'8". Oh, wow, you're taller than me. I try. I think Iran needs to demand that they will only talk to Obama. I mean, the U.S. keeps breaking its word. This is another thing that the entire world watches, right? When you keep lying and you keep making agreements and then you break your own agreement, how is that going to incentivize anybody to make a new agreement with you? You know, I don't know anything about that. Obama can actually speak without a single syllable or a teleprompter. You know, I love it when they act like Obama's not smart. Obama, I think, at least, you know, my assessment is Obama is the most intelligent president of my lifetime. Like, he is a very, very intelligent person. And so, admittedly, some of the competition is not that high. I used to say that when Bush got elected, I never thought I would be smarter than the president, but here we are. And then when Trump got elected, I said I never thought that Bush would be smarter than the president, but here we are. If Iran has hypersonic missiles, which we concretely know they do, they could easily possess North Korea long-range missiles or worse. We don't know any of that. Iran win. Iran did win. I have, and you always own it. Oh, yes. Talking about when I'm wrong. Dumb yourself down, Kelly. The morons don't understand you. It's those 2 and 3 syllable words. And Obama didn't have the yes men telling him how amazing he is, or a staffer to wipe his ass after he took a poop like Donald Trump does. If you're ever bored, look up on YouTube, look up Diaper Guy, The Apprentice. There's an interview with the guy, with the producer from The Apprentice, that they had a guy on The Apprentice. They called him the Diaper Guy. His job was to change Donald Trump's diapers. This is not a new problem. Apparently, it's from his Adderall addiction. He's just like lost all control of his bowels. Like, that's not some snarky thing people are making fun of him for. He literally craps his pants, and you can like look at like videos of people. You can tell sometimes when he does, like with the involuntary nose wrinklings. Obama can speak without a teleprompter or single syllables. I don't know why autocorrect keeps putting question marks on the end of my sentences. Tramp is evil. Trump. I guess that dude is not a word size queen like Kelly. I'm wondering what big word I used. I do tend to use big words, but more like when I'm writing. One time I used the word elucidate in a casual conversation. And a friend of mine said, Kelly, you're the only one that uses words like elucidate in casual conversation. The best words. Do you know the real reason why USA invaded Iran? Nobody does, including the person that made the decision. The only thing I can think of, and this is honest, I know Gary doesn't like this answer. I think it was a deflection from the Epstein files. I think that we were at a pivotal point with the Epstein files with a particular accusation against Trump that really, really sounded bad and like it could go somewhere. And we haven't heard anything else about it since then because we've been too distracted by the war. Grandpa? No. Boredom can cause a lot of things. Make words great again. Oh. I gotta go see a patient. Can you take care of him? Oh, okay. Imagine wishing that Bush was still president. Who said that? Where did I say that? I never thought Bush was a good president or should still be president. I'm just saying even he is smarter than Trump. I remember that. Even Bush was not stupid enough to invade Iran unprovoked. At least when Bush started his war, he had the decency to lie about why first. Like, at least he went to Congress to get authorization. He didn't really get the authorization that he wanted, and he lied about why. But at least he went through the fake motions. Do you know Anthony C. Sutton? I do not know who that is. The English king used to have a staffer called the groom of the stool who would wipe their bum for them. That would be a heck of a job. Can you imagine trying to, like pick up girls at the pub and they're like, what do you do for a living? And you're like, I'm groom of the stool. And they're like, what does that mean? I wipe the king's butt. And you're like, does it pay well? Sasha Riley's story included him fighting back against Trump with a tent stake, and that being the reason for him having bowel issues. I think I'm not sure. I've looked into the Sasha Riley thing. I think that even the person that broke the story has had second thoughts about it. They had a Substack article about it. Harry and Ancient, although if Kitty probably knows more than. Oh man, you're going busy here with the private chat. But she's not here now. All right. All right. So here's what I'm going to do. Oh, I've got to do this. Oh, actually, I need to take a break. I'll be back in a couple of minutes. Sorry for this. I wish. Hang on. Let me try this. I'm gonna see if I can get this uploaded real quick. I made a video about whether the all right, we're just gonna let this start when it's done. Sorry, I gotta go take care of something. Don't forget about your spaghetti sauce.
When you hear that ships might have to pay $2 million just to pass through the Strait of Hormuz, the instinct is to think, well, that's going to make gas expensive. And yes, it can, but not for the reason most people think. Let's start with the math. A typical oil tanker carries around 1 to 2 million barrels of oil. So if you spread a $2 million fee across that cargo, you're looking at roughly $1 per barrel. That translates to just a few cents per gallon at the pump. On its own, that's not enough to move gas prices in a big way. But here's the catch. Markets don't react to the fee. They react to what the fee means. That kind of cost signals risk. It tells insurers, shipping companies, and traders that something dangerous is happening in one of the most critical oil choke points in the world. And once risk enters the picture, everything changes. Insurance rates spike. Some ships avoid the route altogether. Others demand higher compensation. Even small disruptions can tighten supply, and oil markets are extremely sensitive to that. Most importantly, oil prices are forward-looking. Traders aren't just asking, what does this cost today? They're asking, what happens if this gets worse? If they think supply could be disrupted tomorrow, prices go up today. So the real driver of higher gas prices isn't the $2 million fee. It's the fear that the flow of oil could be threatened. If this situation stabilizes, prices may settle back down. But if tensions escalate or persist, that's when you see sustained increases at the pump. Bottom line, it's not the toll, it's the instability behind it that hits your wallet.
So anyway, that was a question I had, and Brett had brought it up earlier. So I just thought I'd run that. Well, I had to make a run somewhere else. But yeah, I think it's kind of irrelevant now since the ceasefire is over. Epstein, Trump, evil Iran win. Oh, so I forgot. So this was funny. So Harry told the story about the groom of the stool, and then Brett says, "Harry, an ancient Caroline Levitt." Harry says, "So true," and Sasha or Kitty confirmed what I thought about the Sasha Riley story. Oh, interesting. Long story, but we think he was a plant from the Epstein folks to spread disinformation. And that's one of the things that you have to be careful about. And I'm glad you bring this up. The if you poison the well, then you pretty much, that like the expression poison the well is not meant to like kill everybody in the town. Like they would poison the well, right? But the purpose of poisoning the well was not to poison everybody in town. It was to make the water in the well undrinkable. Like a lot of people don't understand what that idiom actually means. That it was to make it undrinkable. It was so nobody would touch the water. So when you poison the well, then what you're doing is you're throwing in like a fake story here with the Epstein files so that nobody believes any of it. Like all the real stories are thrown out because these fake stories made people suspicious of all the stories. And an example is like what happened with we can't think of his name, the black guy that reported the MAGA people, the people with the MAGA hats beating him, and it turned out to be fake. And anyway, he ended up getting prosecuted for that, for filing a false police report and everything. But now anytime any black person is a victim of a crime, you get the MAGAs just yelling his name. Like black people have never been victimized by anything because one person lied about it. You get one fake story that people believe, then all of the real stories get thrown out. That's what I mean by it's poisoning the well. Bush didn't actually get a blank check from Congress to do whatever he wants. That's a kind of what Congress said is get UN's approval and we'll back it. And UN never did it. The U.S. Congress was in a bit of a tight spot. The people that weren't against it, and I wish there were more people. The only one that voted against it lost is the next election. But yeah, so what they did is they kind of reached this compromise where like, okay, if you can get the UN to say yes, we'll say yes. But the UN never said yes. So he never fulfilled those conditions, but went to war anyway. I remember this because I was very, very pissed off about it at the time. And the way the media was acting like it had already been given. Like Congress had given permission, but they didn't. They made this very nuanced position that I knew that they were going to get called to the car, like that was not going to work. So they made this nuanced position, and then all the nuance immediately got stripped away. For you +1. Oh, hey, by the way, if you are new here, then go ahead, do me a favor and click on subscribe, because it's always nice to have more subscribers. I like subscribers. Whatever channel you're watching on, by the way. We have been investigating him since the release of his original interview. Sasha. and Bush had an international coalition together, which gave the whole thing a slither of legitimacy. Yes. And there was this other thing that was involved with the Al Qaeda and the the other terrorist group. I don't know what all this addition is for. Did I just score a touchdown? +7. What is plus? I don't understand. Donald Trump has done nothing other than just decide he wants to go to war. He just did. He didn't even try to talk to anybody about it. Groom of the Stool was actually quite powerful. He actually had the king's ear and could suggest things in vulnerable moments. I would say he also had the king's rear. See what I did there? King's rear. Even MSNBC has come out and said it is not reliable. Was it reported, Kitty? I was wondering about his stories. It was. I never saw it in mainstream media. I became aware of it through like TikTok reels, videos, and Facebook reels, and it was all like back channel social media types, which doesn't always mean it's fake, but there's I ended up finding the original person, the Substack person. There was a person that has a Substack that interviewed him initially, and then they went back and looked at a lot of, like, they actually went through to verify a bunch of his stuff and couldn't verify it. But the person that kind of broke open the whole thing is also the person that says that now says that you shouldn't believe him. I'll have to see if I can find that and post it. In vulnerable moments. Oh, so groom of the stool was considered a very prestigious position and was considered a very honorable and trusting position to hold. What about the piss boy? You look like the piss boy. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you should know. Mel Brooks, History of the World, Part 1. Watch it. Well, goodbye, William. It was nice knowing you. We were one really stupid comment. It is quite interesting how they viewed the world. That's right. Viva la Cuba, Fidel cans Trump, Iran win. I don't know what all that's about. Can you give me Brett's name on here so I can see on my list if I blacked him, because I can't see anything he says. His name is Brett Wood Biking, capital B, capital W, capital B. Little Rousen, land giving, big mistake, sorry. I have no idea what you're talking about, dude. Tramp, pedophile. I have followed through on your request. I think English might not be his first language. I don't think he was actually trying to say anything that contributed to the conversation. Anyway, I banned him. I don't think Iraq should have been a calamity if they just went and removed Saddam and left. Yeah. That's like one of those interesting alternate history things. I don't think that we like I don't agree with ever having gone into Iran in the first place, or Iraq in the first place. Not that I think Saddam was a good person, but he was not behind 9/11, and he didn't have weapons of mass destruction. And you would know it, like if you like. I looked into the things that they were saying, and there were people like even the UN's own weapons inspector said no, he does not have weapons of mass destruction. I'm not sure what you mean by that. A British governor under coalition provisional authority called Roy Stewart said it became pretty clear to me. My grandpa said ICE is doing God's work. What does that mean? It means your grandpa is a racist. Please, can I be a mod for 15 seconds so I can... You don't have to worry about Titty anymore. For 15 seconds. Kelly did it, but he's only shadow banned so that he sees his own text and that he's interacting, only he can see it. All right, well, I'm caught up on the comments. Let me see something here. Did this? All right. Got another video that I can show in a couple of minutes here. So do you guys think, like, I wonder where we go now with the whole Iran thing? I wonder what happened to this. The stock market was up. Didn't seem to, went up a lot at first, and then it just kind of stayed, didn't change much. But this is what happens when you, literally put stock in what Trump has to say. It'll probably go back down tomorrow if things are really over. What did the oil price go back up? Start going back up? Oil price went way down. Oh wow! Now it's way back up. Boy, did that bounce! I bet somebody made some money off of it. Who's that guy, Brett? They're always talking about. So this is interesting. It was down to like 80, and now it's back up to 96. Gas prices are up to $4.16 a gallon. Still not quite up to record highs, but diesel is getting really close. Diesel is up to $5.67, and the record high is $5.81. So, and this is not, even if they hadn't violated the terms of the agreement, the gas prices weren't going to start coming down right away, because like when they couldn't put it through, they didn't just keep, producing the same amount of oil. They stopped producing the oil. So now it's, anyway, we're really screwed. Thank you, Trump, for ICE, we, them, in England. What are you talking about? Roy Stewart said it became clear to me pretty quickly that Iraqi people thought you removed Saddam. Thank you. Now get out. Yeah, he wasn't exactly popular over there, which I think is a very fair point of view. And I think there are a few months in the country we were viewed as foreign occupiers, and they treated us like that. And the same thing is going to happen with Venezuela now. Like, yes, Maduro was not popular. That does not mean that Venezuela wants Trump to be their new leader or whoever it is now. MAGA My Man, yeah. I wonder if MAGA My Man has made any money off of the poly market, off of the bouncing oil price. Do they still make Super Balls? They used to make, when I was a kid, they made these like rubber balls called Super Balls, and they were like just like concentrated rubber or something, and they were like maybe like maybe not quite, about the size of a baseball, maybe a little bit small, maybe a tennis ball, and you could like throw that thing really hard and it would just bounce around. We had like this one little room that had like the washer and dryer in it and all these walls and shelves, and we just go in there and we'd throw it around and go and you try to not get hit by it bouncing back at you. Anyway, that's gas prices under Trump. That's oil prices right now. That's the account that made $500,000 being a betting attack on Iran 71 minutes prior. Kind of got to wonder how they knew. How did they know? I mean, they might have just gotten lucky. I said on the show that I wouldn't be surprised if he attacked Iran over that weekend. I said that before, the day before. Somebody was sitting there screaming that, oh, he would never do that. And I was like, well, yeah, that's the same thing you said before he attacked Venezuela. It's not like Trump is really all that unpredictable. Just this is how you know what Trump is going to do next. This is really easy. How you know what Trump is going to do next is, what is the stupidest possible thing to do? That's what Trump is going to do next. The new president is the most anti-American politician you will ever see. The new president in Venezuela, but she isn't as stupid as Maduro. She will wait for him to leave office, then do what she wants. Yes, if Trump ever leaves office. He's sort of doing this thing where he's joking about it. Joking about not leaving, but whether or not he's really joking is, a big thing. Like, does he actually plan to leave, or is he doing this thing that he likes to do where he frames everything, gets us used to it being so ridiculous, and then goes ahead and does it? It wasn't luck. Don Jr. is a major investor in Poly Market and also an advisor on the board. So wouldn't Poly Market have lost money on that? He's even present during the meetings. Is he coked out? He seems to be a little bit less visible these days, he and his brother, and actually his sister too. Well, he's got to be there for his dad so we can tell him what happened during his nap. Oh, nice. How many minutes were you from having Down syndrome at birth? Why are you making fun of people with the disease? Also has drunk. Oh yeah, the whole Trump family is making bank off of Donald Trump's corruption. There's no question about that. What is going on here? Trying to get this. I've got a fly buzzing around. How much money has... So, Donald Trump Jr., since his dad was reelected, has seen his net worth go from $50 million to approximately $300 to $500 million by late 2025. The growth was driven by cryptocurrency ventures, American Bitcoin, specialized investment funds and licensing deals. And I think like the whole American Bitcoin thing was all is set up by can't think of the guy's name. Changpeng Zhao, who laundered money for the drug cartels that Donald Trump seems to like only dislike when it's an excuse for like bombing people on the high seas. So he pardoned this Zhao guy who used his Binance, which was a cryptocurrency company, and he used that to help cartels launder their money, and then he got convicted of that. And then after that, he set up, this guy helped set up, you know, the cryptocurrency that the Trump brothers have. And so they've made like a couple $100 million off of that currency, and it's all because Donald Trump pardoned the one dude. So yeah, nothing corrupt there, nothing to look at. He didn't put all his new money into special funds and stuff. So on paper, his net worth has actually gone down. His official net worth, I should say, his family is still rich as fornication thanks to his corruption. Don Jr. doesn't care. Oh, who are we talking about there? Oh, we're still talking about Donald Trump Jr. Donald Trump Jr. is such a little, you know, it's like if Donald Trump, you remember that movie Trading Places? Anyway, I wonder if Donald Trump Jr. just had to like actually live off of his own talent and ability, and you know, like not if he wasn't a Nepo baby, I have a feeling his entire life would be composed of, would you like fries with that order? He is not a very intelligent person. Channel comments are superimposed again. Sorry. I wish. Just like the inside traders at DraftKings. What's this? I don't know anything about that. I didn't know there were inside traders at DraftKings websites. I don't think he blocked me. He probably reported one of my chats, and that automatically creates a block that he can't undo. Oh, Gary did? Actually, Gary, I haven't heard. Oh, there he is. It's okay to pardon Hunter, though. Yeah, it is okay to pardon Hunter. I don't think that Hunter Biden was convicted of running of laundering money for drug cartels. The reason I don't have a problem with Hunter Biden being pardoned is that Hunter Biden was convicted of something no other person has ever been prosecuted for, which was just the one unique charge of the lying about a gun or lying about drug use when he on the gun form. That nobody else, like there are people that have been prosecuted for that. Very few people have been prosecuted for that, along with other crimes, like to where it wasn't the only crime. But he was prosecuted specifically for that, which nobody else has ever done, like been prosecuted for that. He had an unloaded gun for 10 days that he threw away. So he never should have been prosecuted. The only reason that he was prosecuted is that Donald Trump had him prosecuted. Donald Trump appointed a special counsel of Hunter Biden. Then Hunter Biden reached an agreement and a Donald Trump appointed judge threw it out. The prosecution of Hunter Biden was purely political. So I don't have a problem with that one. I know some people are like trying to be like, oh, it's got to be fair both ways. No, I'm sorry. The prosecution of Hunter Biden and pardon of Hunter Biden does not offset that. It is not. It's not the same thing. It's not even a whataboutism. It doesn't even work as a whataboutism. There are two unique things, and I am okay with one, and I am not okay with the other. This is the dumbest time to be alive in the history of mankind. I would hope so, but I don't know. Maybe if we're like in the 1500s or whatever, we'd probably be saying the same thing. DraftKings Inside Trades is a very old news. I just play for fun. I'm actually up like $1,000. So you're saying Hunter was innocent? I am saying that Hunter Biden was prosecuted for something nobody else has ever been prosecuted for. I mean, if he were running, if he were laundering money for drug cartels, then I would have a problem with it. But you can't sit there and equate those things, Gary, because they're not the same. He was prosecuted for something literally no other person has ever been prosecuted for. And I have to wonder why you're okay with that. Hang on. Why is... Oh. So I'm trying to figure out something here. What is going on with this? All right. So, all right. No, and I can understand why people would say that pardoning him is iffy, but it was a purely malicious prosecution. And they had reached an agreement, and then the judge threw it out. Like, it was just, like, at a certain point, I don't have a problem with it. I don't if people do have a problem with it, I don't have a problem with having a problem with it. But I definitely, whether you have a problem with it or not, it is a clearly distinct thing from laundering money for drug cartels and getting paid $200 million for it. Are we really doing whataboutisms with Hunter? You paint these people. I'm not painting him as innocent. Hunter Biden did some messed up things as a drug addict. I'm not defending him, but I'm just not trying to make more of it than what it was either. Nobody else, again, Gary, nobody else in the history of the country has been prosecuted for just that charge. Do you think that Hunter Biden is the only person that ever lied on his form about drug use? Why is he the only one that's ever been prosecuted? Would he have been prosecuted if he were not Joe Biden's son? All of these people are corrupt in one. You see, this is another argument. Gary, you got to stay away from this. Nobody's arguing that everybody else is perfect or that Democrats are perfect. But one can also argue that selling a pardon to a person who laundered money for hundreds of millions of dollars is bad without having to justify every action every other human being has ever made. I thought it was I'm not sure what you don't believe, but whether you believe it or not does not change whether it is true or not. You cannot believe a true thing. That does not make it untrue any more than me believing it makes it true. It is true on its own. No other person has ever been convicted of that charge, strictly that. The Democrat, I never said that. See, now you've got to sit there and you've got to make up things that I never said. You've got to go into this hyperbolic whataboutism thing. Is it wrong to pardon somebody that was laundering money for drug cartels? Yes or no? Is it wrong to do it, to sell that pardon for hundreds of millions of dollars? Yes or no? Is it the same thing as pardoning your own son for something that nobody else was ever pardoned for? No. Like, you've got to be logical here, Gary. Then why are you bringing it up? Why are you bringing it up? And who says he should be in jail? There was never even a sentence. There was no sentence yet. There's all kinds of people that Donald Trump has pardoned. I don't know. I'm sorry. I just do not know what to do about the superimposed chat. I can't change it. I have no control over that. I wish I could. I know the frustration is there, but I just don't even know how to, like, it's a stupid restream thing. So I don't know how to do it. I'm sorry. Even though he's emotional. Was it like not working that way for a while and then it started working that way again? I honestly do not know what to do about it. The prosecution might have been wrong. I'll send a note to Restream pointing this out and see if they can help. The prosecution might have been wrong or political. I still think pardoning your son is a really bad precedent that future presidents are going to abuse and abuse and abuse. Yeah. I understand that. I understand that. I just think this situation is unique. Cocaine in the White House had nothing. It was not Hunter Biden's. That's just a stupid thing that MAGAs repeat. They found cocaine in the White House. There's no evidence that it was Hunter Biden's at all. Hunter Biden did not murder anybody. I'm saying everyone that does corrupt things should be jailed. What about all, like, this is okay. Why are you saying that? What does this have to do with everybody else? We were talking about one thing. Donald Trump pardoned a guy who sold or who helped, in exchange for that pardon, he helped establish a cryptocurrency for the Trumps, which is now worth over $200 million. All right, he sold that pardon for $200 million. Now, are you okay with that or not? Why does this have to do? Why do you have to bring up anybody else at all? Like, what is the point? Other than to deflect from this is a bad thing Trump did. But, you know, and I said everybody, but why? Nobody, it's a straw man argument, Gary. The prosecution might have been wrong or political, but I still think pardoning your son is a bad precedent. Anyway. I didn't say you made up anything. Hello, Walter. How you doing? I don't think they're equally as bad. End of story. I really don't. I think that there is a huge difference between pardoning your own son for a malicious prosecution and selling a pardon for $250 million. I'm sorry, they're not the same thing. I understand if you think they're both wrong, but I do not think they are both the same. I'm not losing sight of what you're saying. I know exactly what you're saying. But why are we talking about Joe Biden pardoning Hunter Biden right now? Why? What does that have to do with anything? I'm not losing track of what you're saying at all. I am just you're losing track of what I am saying. You've gotten so hitched to your what about Hunter Biden thing that you're kind of missing the point, which is that this Donald Trump sold a pardon to a drug trafficker for $250 million. There is a lot of, what does that have to do with anything? Nobody's saying that nobody's corrupt other than Donald Trump. But this is a dismissal of Donald Trump's corruption. Whether you recognize that or not, you don't need to go through the rest of the world to admit that Donald Trump is corrupt. That can you just do me a favor? Do me this favor and tell me that Donald Trump selling pardons for $250 million is wrong. Just say that without any qualifications, without everybody else is corrupt too. Just admit that Donald Trump did something bad. When he said he got away with murder, I instantly wanted to ban him, but I didn't. That's complete misinformation. Biden and yes. I don't know about exactly what. I know he pardoned some people on death row. I'm not sure. I'll look into it. I think he commuted their sentences or something. Or anyway. You'd have to tell me exactly who and what. But there's been a lot of misinformation about Joe Biden pardoning people. And he's not selling them to drug traffickers for $250 million. Nothing that Joe Biden pardoned anybody with it justifies what Donald Trump is doing. I don't know why we are talking about Joe Biden's pardons right now. Okay, is Hunter Biden the only one in the history of the world that ever did cocaine? Trump pardoned one of the largest cocaine kingpins in the world. What's the point? That's not. Yeah, that's the president of Honduras. Because I do not paint that picture. I don't paint that picture at all. I have criticized Democrats on this show frequently. Now, you do not listen well, Gary. You're frustrated. You're frustrated because you are not hearing the words that I am actually saying. I do think that we need to review the pardon power. I'm just saying why I personally do not have an issue with Joe Biden pardoning Hunter Biden, because the prosecution itself should have never happened. I think the whole thing should have been thrown out of court. It was a malicious prosecution, and now you see Donald Trump doing it again and again and again. This is the guy that tried to have an investigation opened up into Hunter Biden in a different country. He like literally got impeached for it. So it's not like, like people forget this was not like some independent investigation. This was an investigation Donald Trump had happen. And he did it to try and undermine Joe Biden's election in 2020. The investigation started before Joe Biden was president. Yeah, I don't understand what that has. Nobody's confused on that. I don't know what the point is. Anyway, I still don't. Yeah. Did we ever? Okay. Let's try restarting this. Anyway, I can't believe we spent this much money or this much time talking about Hunter Biden. Goodness gracious. I'm never voting for that guy again. Came on here to ask, how do you have patience with these MAGA morons? They're not all MAGA morons. I don't think Gary or Walter is MAGA. Gary's just the point is that you're always painting. I'm not always painting. I'm not doing that though, Gary. I'm not. Do we have confirmation that money was exchanged? Okay, so we have confirmation that there is a connection between, all right, the guy who was pardoned was the CEO of Binance. Binance is the company that set up the Trump Cybercoin. He did that. They did that after the pardon. All right. This is like not hard to draw a line between those. It's not hard to connect those dots. And they did it for free. I've never said you don't have the right to your opinion. H.G. Wells Time Machine. Here's the thing, Walter. Remember when they were talking about when they had when the Supreme Court heard the case about whether or not Donald Trump could be prosecuted? For the January 6th. And they talked about how this were official acts and all those kinds of official acts and stuff. And one of the justices asked Screechy McScreech-a-lot, what's his name? Sauer. Are you saying that the president of the United States can sell a pardon? And Screechy said, basically yes, because it's an official act. So Donald Trump took that as an idea and he ran with it. And now it's not just the one. There's a pattern of people who give money to Trump's, different things like the the ball or his monument, and all of these things are his library. They're giving him all this money after they get pardoned. Just look it up. There's a whole bunch of people. It's not just there is this one thing that happened. There is a series of people he has pardoned that are just really, really evil people. The president of Honduras, Juan Orlando Hernandez, I think his name is, another one. Dude is just corrupt. Pardoned him and made money off of it. I think the pardon power should be abolished. Yeah, he commuted the sentences of basically everyone on federal death row, because he took away the death penalty, because he has, and I do too, people have issues with the death penalty. There are many people that there are a lot of people that have been exonerated that are on death row. Two wrongs don't make a right, Kelly, if they did. I'm not the one bringing up the other wrong to justify it. I'm not the one that's saying that, Gary. When you say, what about Joe Biden? You are arguing about that, not me. I mean, yeah, this is getting stupid and a turnoff. Biden did it, so Trump can too. There's no point in bringing up Hunter Biden right now. Okay, let me see if this is. I don't know why that's happening. All right, let me see if I can. All right, so I can't get the one I prepared for today. I had another thing prepared for today, but it's not rendering the way it should. So I'm I'm gonna upload this and give you something to watch while I take a break again. Sorry.
You've probably heard someone say, I'm socially liberal, but fiscally conservative. It sounds thoughtful, balanced, responsible. But what does fiscally conservative actually mean? Most people think it means being careful with money, lower spending, lower debt, like running your household responsibly. But here's the problem. Government doesn't work like a household. When a family cuts spending, that's usually the end of the story. But when a government cuts spending, that money disappears from the economy. Fewer jobs, less business activity, slower growth. And here's where things get interesting. A lot of policies labeled fiscally conservative don't actually reduce the debt. In fact, they often increase it. Why? Because they tend to focus heavily on cutting taxes, especially for higher earners and corporations, without making equivalent cuts to spending. So revenue goes down, but expenses don't fall enough to match. That's how you end up with bigger deficits, not smaller ones. And we've seen this pattern play out multiple times over the past few decades. So the label fiscally conservative starts to look less like a consistent economic strategy and more like a political brand. But there's another layer to this. Not all government spending is the same. If you give money to lower-income households, they spend it on food, rent, basic needs. That money moves through the economy quickly. It creates jobs. It supports businesses. Economists call this a multiplier effect. On the other hand, tax cuts for the wealthy are more likely to be saved or invested in ways that don't circulate as quickly. So dollar for dollar, some types of spending actually grow the economy more than others, which means the real question isn't, are we spending too much? It's, what are we spending on and what do we get back? Because a deficit that builds roads, funds education, or prevents a recession might actually strengthen the economy over time, while a deficit caused by tax cuts without offsets just adds to the debt. So when someone says they're fiscally conservative, it's worth asking, do they mean reducing deficits, or do they mean cutting taxes and government programs? Because those are not the same thing. And once you separate the label from the results, you start to see that fiscal responsibility isn't about spending less, it's about spending smart.
Okay, so commuted speak well and not working well. Okay, so I looked this up while that was playing, and what he did is there were 40 people on death row. He commuted, and by commuted, he just reduced their sentence of 37 out of 40 of those people on death row from like the death penalty to life in prison. So it's not like he just let them go or something. They're still in prison. They're just not, they're still going to die in prison. They're just not going to be killed. The other three, which were terrorist related, are still on death row, or unless they've been killed since then. So he philosophically was opposed to the death penalty, and that's why he did it. But let's not act like this is the same thing as pardoning somebody for that was laundering cartel money and making hundreds of millions of dollars off of it. Donald Trump will not go down as one of the best presidents of all time. That's an objective fact. I have absolutely criticized other presidents on this. I've criticized Biden. I've criticized Obama. I've criticized Clinton. You just didn't hear me say it. And I don't know why we're talking about me right now. Theoretically, anyone in the White House could have been dropping the powder there. There were lots of people. And I think that I seem to remember that this isn't even where, it was some kind of box where you, like, when you come in, you leave your stuff. Like, why would Hunter Biden, like, pull out a bag of cocaine and leave it there? Like, and it wasn't even like the door he would use and stuff. It was like easily debunked in a silly accusation. I think both sides have issues. I think both sides have problems. It's why I don't call myself a Democrat. But I think that the Republicans, and especially the MAGA Republicans, are far, far, far more corrupt. This administration is easily the most corrupt administration in the history of our country. There's not even a second place, not even a third place. You have to go down to like 6th or 7th place. If Donald Trump did what you say, and I don't know what that he did, but if you say he did it and he did it, he needs to pay for it. He did do it. He pardoned dude. After all that Trump has done, I have no faith in MAGA accepting the truth. They don't care about anything except following their alpha. They're a bunch of kitty cats for him to grab. Yes, that is the problem with the two-party system. I don't think that if you get rid of the two-party system, you get rid of the corruption. There's always going to be corruption. And I think there are people in both parties that aren't corrupt. I don't think being a politician makes you corrupt. I think being a politician makes you a target to corrupt. And they aren't the same thing, but I bet you'd probably appreciate this poem from Robert Frost. It's called "I Support a Semi-Revolution," and so it's about a wheel. So, like, you think of a revolution like a wheel, like it turns all the way around, right? So the poem is, "I support a semi-revolution. The problem with a total revolution is, ask any reputable Rosicrucian, the same class always ends up on top." So his point was, when the wheel does a complete revolution, it's just the same people. Might not be the exact same people, but it's the same people, no matter who. So he says we need a semi-revolution so that the people on top are on the bottom and the people who are on the bottom are on top. Good poem. You should look it up. Calendars for everyone. Yeah, let's talk about 2026. That's a great idea. Organized chaos. I don't think that there's lawfare on both sides, honestly. I don't. I don't think that what happened to Trump can be called lawfare. I think that's called the justice system working. If you strip away how they talk and the way they present themselves and just looked at their resume, Trump and no, they're not. They're not. That's just not true. They're not. It's not even close to true. Your hatred of Donald Trump takes precedence over anything that's just not true. Meanwhile, Bondi is trying to duck the subpoena, and it looks like Comer is trying to help her out. And it's funny because he was the one that was like, "Oh, the Clintons gotta, they have to come in and testify." He was going to prosecute them if they didn't. That's misleading. He inherited 2 wars, dude. There were 2 wars that already existed, and then ISIS was actively trying to like kill Americans and stuff. Like it's just not, it is not honest. It's not intellectually honest to compare that to what Trump is doing right now. There are so many things like there's something called a false equivalence, and this is something that you see people do a lot. And then some people are MAGAs and some people are walrus, sea lions or whatever, and they try to make these things, they try to take things and compare them. Okay, so first of all, I will say I had issues with Libya. Obama should have gotten approval from Congress for Libya, but that's one aspect, right? There's other things that were at play too. Anyway, I've done that show like 3 times now, and I don't want to redo it again. But I don't think Obama was perfect, but I don't think that he unilaterally declared war on Iran and went and bombed the hell out of Iran and then caused a worldwide, recession or something. Okay, whatever you say. We just keep going in the same cycle. I don't think either parties were the flying fornication. Another meathead that hates Trump. Yes, because if you don't like this is just like another MAGA that just can't accept that any criticism of Trump is fair. Why does Gary have to have Democrat bad and Republican bad even? Why can't we just concentrate on the freak in the office right now? Exactly. Why do I have to go through and detail everything every Democrat has ever done wrong in order to criticize Donald Trump for what he is actively doing right now as the current president of the United States? How about we talk about what is happening today? You're nobody's handcuffing you to a rail and saying you have to stay here, Gary. You need your powers for whatever you say. Trump chickened out again. He did. And then he chickened out of his chickening out. Apparently, he's already violated the terms of the agreement. Showed this to you. This was, in case you missed it, at the start of the show, we covered this. Iran is already saying that Donald Trump has backed out, the ceasefire is over. So it didn't last very long. But this was their statement. Here. What was it? The deep historical distrust we hold toward the United States stems from its repeated violation of forms of commitments, a pattern that has regrettably been repeated once again, as the President of the United States has clearly stated. The Islamic Republic of Iran's 10-point proposal is workable basis on which to negotiate and the main framework for those talks. However, these classes of proposal have already been violated. Non-compliance. This one talks about the Israel is still attacking Lebanon. Then the second one is violation of Iran's airspace. And the third one is denial of Iran's right to enrichment. So anyway, so much for the ceasefire. And so the oil prices have been going back up since they said it's over. It's back up to 96.25. So anyway, all on a day of Trump lies. But that's okay because Joe Biden pardoned Hunter Biden or something. Okay, so okay, hang on. Just cleaning up some things here. All right. You must be on some kind of watch list. YouTube whacked you before I could get to you. Oh, did somebody leave? Anyway. I know you've mentioned that before. I don't know. All I know is if that's the case, China is actually doing better. China has benefited more from these things than the US has. China first. All right, let me go back to here. Whoops. Here. All I've ever said is I'm not going to pretend to know what our military knows. I'm not going to pretend that anything that comes out of Pete Kegsbrett's mouth is true. I'm not going to pretend that the military is actually telling us what the military actually knows. MAGA is running out of excuses for Trump. Venezuelan leader was seen meeting with Chinese officials the day we kidnapped him. So what? So what? I like Donald Trump is not like some genius chess player that's like 12 moves ahead. Donald Trump just gets a wild hair and plucks it. Okay, Gary, can you just like please be on topic? That's all we're asking, and not try to change the topic, because it's really frustrating to like have a conversation and a flow of thought when it's like every time you post, it has nothing to do with what everybody else is talking about. You're like the guy in the party that's trying to change the subject all the time. I think we're in the middle of World War III against China right now, but could be wrong. So here's what we were talking about earlier is Iran wants to, like now Iran is saying that it has controlled the straits, or the Strait of Hormuz, and they want to deal in yuan for the price of oil. So the petrodollar could end up getting replaced by the yuan dollar. Would that be good or bad for China? Would that be good or bad for the US? There's a lot of people that are really frustrated with the US because of Trump right now. And China's the one that's benefiting from that. China and Canada just signed a huge trade agreement. China's our biggest trade partner. So if all of this has to do with some kind of Cold War with China, we're getting our asses kicked. And all three of those countries have actually benefited from what Trump is doing. You mean the war that was supposed to be ended in 24 hours? Because this is a current events channel, not what Gary wants to talk about channel. Trump is the president of the United States. Trump is the one that started a war. We can't sit there and try to figure out how to make it the Democrats' fault that Donald Trump started a war in Iran. Like, Donald Trump is president. Like, Hunter Biden, as Gary said, or as Brett said, Trump is not in office. Hunter Biden isn't. Bigger fish. Why should we be spending all this time talking about Hunter Biden? Anyway, I will read your comments when you start getting on topic. I'm just going to start skipping over them because it's too distracting. If there is an after Trump, may spark change. Or it will mean the complete authoritarian society. One or the other is coming in November. It'll be really interesting. I wonder what he has planned for November. I really do. Yeah, don't blame that crap on God. Donald Trump is profoundly ignorant man, a man so perverted, cruel, malignant, and evil that no sane person would want him anywhere near them. So what the actual fornication is wrong with America? I don't know. You'll have to ask Gary. Gary seems to be a big fan all of a sudden. Well, I guess no. Gary says that Trump, like everybody in the world is just as bad as Trump, so we can't criticize Trump. All the Democrats are just as bad. All the other countries are just as bad. Everybody's as bad as Trump, so we can't say anything bad about Trump. Willful racist ignorance. That's what's wrong with most of them. Me first attitude. Trump is the best. Can you tell me one question? Answer one question for me. What has Trump actually done to help America? And quantify it. Tell me exactly what he has done and how it made America better. And then use like actual numbers. Use actual objective data to prove your point. I bet you can't do it because he has not done anything. How is Trump the best president? Give me one category where he's the best at. Like, this is just, MAGA's just like MAGA Tourette's again. Just got to just sit there and say MAGA talking points. Doesn't matter if they're true. Doesn't matter if you've thought about them. And just brainless spouting syllables. Thanks for making me laugh. I gotta say, Somalians got to go down as the best. Nothing like that's kind of a racist comment, Darth Jar. Switching sub accounts takes longer than shadow bans. Joe Biden is not president. Yes, we spent way too much time talking about that. I thought Jack Sparrow was the best pirate, but who can I say? I thought Jack Sparrow was pretty good. You know, actually, it's what is that? You know, it's well, I wish One Piece. That's his name. One Piece is the greatest pirate ever. If you haven't watched that Netflix show, it's good. It's a fun show. Sometimes you just need a fun show. Johnny Depp just got overtook. And One Piece isn't even Somalian. Yeah, I think I can trust you. I have to do it while the show's not streaming. But yeah, I think you make a good mod, Harry. Bunch of BS. What is the BS, Kathy? Have a good one, Gary. Did the same class end up on top in the American Revolution? Yeah, pretty much. Here's a fun thing. You maybe don't know about this, about the Revolution. So it was only about 10% of Americans really cared. And the people that were upset about the taxes were the people who paid the taxes, right? And the people that funded the war were also, check this out, the people that wrote the Constitution. The Philadelphia delegation was basically, so what happened was we had the revolution, paid for by the rich people, and then they wanted to get their money back from the government, but the federal government had no way of collecting taxes. There was nothing in the Articles of Confederation that gave them the ability to collect taxes. And then there was this thing called the Shays Rebellion, where the governor of, I forget when, it might have been Maryland, Pennsylvania, anyway, Maine, Massachusetts, I can't remember which state. Anyway, there was this revolution, and there was no way to put it down because the Articles of Confederation didn't have any kind of standing army to put down this rebellion. So the first two things that they took care of when they had this Philadelphia delegation was, one, they gave the government the ability to collect taxes so that they could get their money back from, guess who? The taxpayers, which were, by the way, not at the Philadelphia delegation. So then the second thing they did is they gave the military the ability to have a militia and regulate the militia. And that was so that they could, and it's in the Constitution, if you don't believe me, suppress insurrections. All right. So that's how we got the Constitution. It was so that the rich people that financed the war so that they could keep their money could get paid back. So yeah, the same class ended up on top. How do Somali pirates that have rags for clothing and crooked teeth have millions of dollars? Somebody make this make sense. Ask Tom Hanks. Everybody, people, I'm the captain now. You are delusional. Okay, but that doesn't mean I'm wrong. Well, it's politics. The law is the law until it doesn't suit you anymore. Then the law is wrong and shouldn't be a thing. I guess it's rando comment time. The problem is not some white powder in the White House. The problem is not the white powder in the White House. The problem is the white supremacy in the White House. Boom. All right. The people at any time are the problem. The system is the garbage in, garbage out. Welcome back, Kitty. Kitty is my bud. I'm just a history buff. That's all I am. I'm a history buff too. You stand for nothing. Okay. What do you stand or kneel for? Explain yourself in your commitment, in your comment. The Democrats, yes, everybody knows that. Do you think that the current platforms have anything to do with what happened in 1865? Trump will never chicken out of anything except for the things that he's already chickened out of. I took a nap at 7 p.m. yesterday. Hey, Brett, you want to put sleepy time there in timeout? Because he's not up to banning, but he has quickly become just an annoying fly. I took a nap. I can't. Can I time out people from here? Let me see if. I can. All right. I got it. He's on timeout. I took a nap at 7 p.m. yesterday. Didn't want to be awake for the world ending. Trump is exhausting. Glad no nukes dropped, though. Yeah. Did you hear that the ceasefire is over? Ceasefire lasted. I don't know when we're going to get to the destruction of civilization now. Anyway, welcome back there, Mr. Mower. Russia started crossing borders for war. Next thing you know, everyone wants to do it. Yeah. Mods are deleting comments. Okay. That's what they're here for. That's why I have 2 mods. And I trust them. That's why I made them mods. Which I still think China was in Russia ear pushing them to war. I don't know about that. I mean, it's not unreasonable, but I think you're kind of like looking at the whole China thing a little too hard and not looking at Trump hard enough. I think Trump is just a nut job. I don't think there's any kind of grand conspiracy thing going on here. I think it's just Trump being stupid and doing stupid things. It says, it's like one of the simplest explanations is usually correct. You don't need to get complicated. I did something similar. I watched a couple of movies. I heard Trump made a deal with himself and never consulted the Iranians for the deal. I wouldn't be surprised about that. But it's like some of the things in the deal were probably Iran. I don't know if Iran would have even had the courage to ask for that, like lifting the sanctions. That was one of the deal. That was one of the points. And apparently we sent that to them. Like it was like when I first read it, I was like, man, there's no way the US would ever agree to it. I never thought that the US would actually propose it. They aren't comments, they're trolling. Some of these trolls are the same ones. Oh, so he's talking about the deleted comments. Yeah. They don't want free speech in the real world, but they cry about it on YouTube. Yeah. They probably celebrate Alex Preddy's being murdered by ICE, but they get very, very upset if somebody deletes one of their comments on YouTube. Because that's government overreach, not like actually executing people for like thinking that other people have rights. Happy Wednesday, you too. Buffing. Is it Wednesday? It is. Hunter Biden 2028. Hello, test. Oh, it's getting worse now. What's getting worse? CNN reports there does not appear to be a formal written document for the ceasefire agreement. I'm not surprised that we got to this point. Now, I mean, this is just every 20 minutes. If you go that long, I get it's just everything is insane with this administration. Rights? What are those? Exactly. They have no view at all. Oh, they closed the strait again? All right, let's yeah. Oil prices all the way back up into the mid-90s. And now Iran wants nothing to do with negotiating. And the couch fornicator just threatened to nuke. What? Like literally? Tell me more. Tell me more. Oh, and NATO, Rubio is talking about what on earth? I missed this one. So Iran is saying, man, I missed these messages that you sent earlier, Kitty. So let me. So this is one. This is the whole. The CNN says the statement in question was obtained by CNN from Iranian officials and reported on multiple Iranian states media outlets. We received the statements from specific official Iranian spokesperson, people who are known to us. And so then Brandon Carr responds, more outrageous conduct from CNN. Fake news is bad enough for the country, but pushing out a hoax headline in such a way, such a sensitive national security. I don't know what the rest of it said, but yeah, this is more denial from the Trump administration about what is actually happening in the world, as though there is some point here that is in question. See if I can. Okay, so then let me. The other one. No oil tanker or ship belonging to the enemies will pass through the Strait of Hormuz before Israel commits to a ceasefire in London. Iran demands $1 per oil passing through the Strait of Hormuz. So, okay, this isn't a reply. These are two different things. But yeah, I guess we're closing down the thing. The Straits of Hormuz are getting closed down again. And things don't look any better. Couch lover made a, so what is this? I've got a, what did the couch fornicator say? Can't find the quote. Anyway, if you can find anything for me, Kitty. But this is just, they just want to like kill people and stuff. They're a bunch of sociopaths. At a certain point, you just have to consider, like, if you're endorsing this sort of thing, you're endorsing the death of 90 million people. What kind of, like, how just black does your soul have to be for that? Iran has announced that night they will make the Gulf countries dark. They're gonna. Oh, what does that mean? Oh, now Iran sounds like they're committing war crimes. A second House Democrat sends Jasmine Crockett sends Vance and the cabinet a letter urging them to invoke the 15th Amendment. I don't know if Vance is talking about nukes too, then. So I'll just do this. Yeah. All right. So she's sending me stuff. All right. So here, this is what I'm going to do. This looks. Okay. Excuse me for just a moment while I take care of this. I will be up and running this here shortly. No easy way to do this. All right. Okay, so this is an interview with J.D. Vance, who dropped his pants to make romance with a couch. Getting it for you. Thank you. All right, we're almost.
I actually think, and there's a lot of bad faith negotiation and a lot of bad faith, propaganda going on. I think this comes from a legitimate misunderstanding. I think the Iranians thought that the ceasefire included Lebanon, and it just didn't. We never made that promise. We never indicated that was going to be the case. What we said is that the ceasefire would be focused on Iran, and the ceasefire would be focused on America's allies, both Israel and the Gulf Arab states. That said, the Israelis, as I understand it, again, I'm supposed to get a fuller report when I get on the plane, have actually offered to be, frankly, to check themselves a little bit in Lebanon because they want to make sure that our negotiation is successful. That's not because that is part of the ceasefire. I think that's the Israelis trying to set us up for success, and we'll, of course, see how that unfolds in the next few days. But look, if Iran wants to let this negotiation fall apart in a conflict where they were getting hammered over Lebanon, which has nothing to do with them and which the United States never once said was part of the ceasefire, that's ultimately their choice. We think that would be dumb, but that's their choice.
It seems like it was their first point on the things that Donald Trump said he agreed to. Like it was number one. That was like number 1 point. The very first thing. And you're sitting there and you're talking about, well, we never said anything about Lebanon. And it's like, well, okay, but you're sitting there also saying they've been at war with us for 47 years. And then you're using their like prots, like Hezbollah or whatever, as proof of being at war with us for 47 years. So then you dragged Hezbollah into it. Not saying I agree with anything, but anybody with common sense looked at what they said and said, there's no way that Israel's going to go along with this. Man. So you just in, U.S. Vice President warns Iran will face serious consequences if ceasefire agreement is broken. Okay, but U.S. already broke it. Does that mean that Iran's going to face serious consequences? Like this is the same thing with the Gaza agreement. Israel doesn't respect these things. Why is it the only ones that have to keep the agreements are the Muslims? And there never was an agreement anyway. And it was a stupid agreement. It was a terrible agreement. I just all kinds of stupid. So then there's another thing. YouTube has taken down the official Bitcoin channel for being harmful and dangerous. That's interesting. The United States. Oh, then we got this: the United States peace plan versus. This is. So these are this is what I was looking for from the very beginning. So thank you, Colby Badwar, whoever you are. All right, so here is a side-by-side of the two agreements, which I feel like the whole thing was more was made of it than should have been anyway. Image. Because it didn't seem like there was really an agreement on anything. All right, so this is what the two sides. Yeah, that works better. All right, let's look at this. Iran must dismantle its existing nuclear capabilities, and then. So point number one for the U.S. plan was, number one, Iran must dismantle its nuclear capabilities. Iran's point number 6, acceptance of Iran's right to nuclear enrichment. So those seem to be kind of contradictory to me. Iran must commit never to pursue nuclear weapons. And back to number 6, acceptance of Iran's nuclear enrichment. Number 3, there will be no uranium enrichment on Iranian territory. Number 6, acceptance of Iran's right to nuclear enrichment. Iran must hand its stockpile of some 450 blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that's more. The first 4 are all about 5, 6, 7. Okay, so 6 of those points are all about nuclear weapons or nuclear enrichment or whatever, uranium enrichment. All of those are contradicted by point number 6 of the Iranian plan. 7 says Iran must abandon its regional proxy paradigm. Iran, point number 3, entering the regional war on all fronts, including against Iran's ally Hezbollah in Lebanon. So those are mutually exclusive. Iran must seize the funding, direction, and arming of its regional proxies. There you go again. And by the way, this is also getting back to J.D. Vance's thing. Oh, we never said anything about Lebanon. Yes, you did, right there. In 7 and 8, the Strait of Hormuz must remain open and function as a free maritime corridor. Where was it? I thought there was something in here about the $2 million. But Iran wants the $2 million passage, which Iran must seize the fund. Okay. Iran's missile program must be limited in both range and quantity. So anyway, at the risk of boring you, it seems like all 14 of the points, the U.S. points, are directly contradicted by all 4 of the Iranian points. Like, there was no way this thing, if anybody ever, like, if we had just sat down and read the 2 things side by side, we'd be like, no, we're not anywhere. This is not like, you know, okay, there's 7 points that they agree on and 3 points where they just slightly disagree on. This is not the beginning of a talking point. This is like walking into an auction and saying, I'll give you $1 for that, and they're like $1 billion. You know, like, you're not anywhere near a solution here. Wow. Kitty is busy. All right, here. Former 82nd Airborne Commander Randy Manner stated that he has information that many of the targets issued by Secretary of War were rejected by CENTCOM on the basis that they were civilian targets. If the U.S. truly considers herself the leader of the Western world, still they need to relinquish Pete Hegseth to The Hague or launch a congressional investigation. Like, it is a crime to hit civilian facilities. So anyway, I think that's good for now. I don't know if anybody still, comments kind of stopped, the chat shut down. But anyway, I think that's good enough for today. We'll come back tomorrow and we'll see where the war is at, but I have a feeling it didn't end after all.
Ran through the noise, now the pieces align. Pulled back the curtain, let you see the design. Machine Gun Kelly, yeah, we played that game, but the truth stays steady while they shuffle the frame. He's still rising, but the signal cuts clean. What you saw tonight ain't just what it seemed. From the chaos to the calm, let it settle in slow. Take the light with you when you step out the show. Out clear, eyes up, don't fall for the spin. Hold that line when the noise rolls.